Welcome to the Seattle Investors Club podcast with Julie Clark and Joe Bauer, where we share the nuts and bolts of real estate investing from our 20-plus years in the industry. Sit back, relax, listen, and immediately take action. Are you ready? Here we go.
Welcome to the Nuts and Bolts of Real Estate Investing podcast. My name is Joe Bauer, and I'm here with my co-host, Julie Clark. Julie, how are you doing today?
I am enjoying some beautiful sunny weather here today in Seattle, Joe. How about you? You still here?
I am actually over the mountains now, over in Chelan, and we're getting about 80 degrees, so also enjoying beautiful sunny weather.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. I am looking forward to taking some photos this weekend of some of my listings coming up here, and I need the good weather. Although I guess we don't need that these days because they can Photoshop everything, right? So
yeah.
There you go. Well, good stuff. Well, today, guys, Joe and I are kicking it off. We're going to introduce you to a new tool that you guys might be interested to learn about, and it's called Earnnest. And what it is I'll say we're going to have our new friend Durell explain to us a little bit better, but I'm calling it digital earnest money or digital payments that apply to real estate transactions. And as we'll learn even more than that as they continue to grow their company there. But hey, Durell, we're going to say this is Durell Grisebaum. How's that? Yeah,
that was excellent pronunciation. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah. So Durell's coming to us today. He's out in what I want to say is Greer. Are you in Greer, South Carolina? Or
that's right. Yeah.
Excellent. Look at that. I did some homework. And Durell is head of their customer service success team over at Earnnest. And how we spell Earnnest, just so you know, and yes, we're talking about earnest money potentially here today, but that is EARNNEST, so two N's, right?
Yep.
Is if you want to look it up, earnest.com. So we're going to learn about what service they provide and, the future of real estate and how we're all moving towards digital platforms and lower fees and less middlemen and maybe more safety and security with online transactions. And Durell is going to be able to fill us in on that today. So tell us, Durell, welcome, first of all.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So just give us the rundown. I'm going to do a little overview real quick here of what I stole, because that's what I do. I steal right off websites. I'm going to read what it says. Earnnest allows for a fully digital transfer of funds and real estate transactions. Their digital platform saves you and your clients time and money, speaking to real estate brokers and agents there. Their system is protected with banking level security and encryption. They also use ACH payment transfers instead of wires because the threat, as we all know, of wire fraud is real and growing. They don't collect your client's sensitive info like funding sources or bank details. I like how you guys say that. This has a lot of personality about the guy, whoever's running the company. They say, so the whole data storage thing is not an issue. That line cracks me up right there, just because I like the casualness of it. But welcome, and let's get to know Earnnest a little bit better. How long has Earnnest been around, and how's it going?
So it's been around since about 2017. A lot has changed since 2017. Right now, I would say it's going pretty darn fantastically. I mean, if you look at what our year has sort of turned into, I mean, largely related to COVID and largely related to the product changing just on time for it, ironically, we have just sort of ramped up business like crazy. So we started off March with an older system that was a little bit more manual, made it a lot more easy for agents to sign up. So the last week of March, we did more business than the entire rest of March combined. And then in the month of May, we did 4 times the business that we did in March. And it's just been going up and up and up and up as people are realizing they don't want to shake hands. So
yeah, interesting. That's a good point, right? The old, let's not shake hands. Let's not even go to the bank, right?
Yeah.
Let's back it up for a minute and talk about the history of how Earnnest even came to be. What's the backstory there?
So the origin story is kind of a funny one. Our two founders, the two credited founders anyway, are a guy named Daniel and another guy named George, who Daniel was tech guy who was trying to find a house in the area. George was his realtor. George got done with they got done with the closing, and George said, hey, what could have been better about this? And Daniel was like, let me be frank, I enjoyed you and everything else sucked. And so, like, I can't believe that I had to write a check in 2017 for a house. Like, this is crazy. So he was listing out all the different areas where he could have, seen more efficient processes. And George said, "Yeah, you're right." And so that's kind of the founding happened over that conversation.
Wow, that is super cool. So how long have you been at Earnnest, involved with Earnnest?
Going into my second year now. So I came in with the first big wave of hires was when I came in.
Excellent. And so is everybody works back there in South Carolina? I say back there because we're out here in Seattle in the Pacific Northwest.
Right. So most of our crew at this point is in South Carolina. I'd say like 90% of the company. We do have somebody who's out in Colorado, another person in Philadelphia, and as of this morning, I believe we have another one who's based in Georgia.
Awesome. Good stuff. So tell us how it works. What's Earnnest all about? Where do they get involved in the transaction? And why are you guys gaining so much traction these days, do you think, with your service?
Sure. So I'm going to start with the how it works bit, and then we'll go into the traction after that, if that works for you.
Sounds good.
All right. So the how it works is essentially you have somebody who's a requester. You have someone who's typically a buyer's agent. Sometimes that's a title company or an escrow company who sends a request to a buyer. And the entire network, for the record, is closed. So there's not anybody else who's coming in outside of this, and it's all very specific to the people involved. The request goes to, let's say, home buyer John Smith. John has a request for a specific amount of money for a specific property that is to be paid to a specific escrow holder. Now, the escrow holder has got their accounts verified already. Before they are ever available to anybody, they have to be verified, which means that we know that they have the right account because we've done deposits into the account and they've made sure that they've got it. So we don't have just random, like, in the case of wire, you put in the wrong number and in theory you risk firing it off to the Bahamas and you have no idea where that money's gone to and you got no way of getting it back. In this case, you know exactly who the money's gone to. Then John is going to verify his identity. He links up his funding source the same kind of way as you do like an AT&T bill pay. We actually use a bank network, so you can log straight into your bank partner, and then after you've linked your funding source, you review and authorize the payment, and that's it. So the agents typically are only involved in here as far as they have to send a request out to somebody, but it makes it really convenient for them because they don't have to go pick up checks. They don't have to go walking into an escrow office. The buyer can do this whole thing in their pajamas if they want to. They can do it from anywhere they've got an internet connection. So that's sort of the overview of how it works.
Good stuff. I'm writing down I can be in my pajamas as we are speaking here. So who initiates? So the first relationship would be that would it be that the agent or that has to have a relationship with Earnnest to send out the request, or who sends out the request? Why, as I'm the agent, as I am the buyer's agent, do I log in and have a profile on Earnnest and then I send out the request, or does the request come from somebody at Earnnest when I push a button, say, go ask John Smith for his money? Right.
So, you actually have an account, and when you send the request, it labels it as from you. So it would say, Julie has requested you pay such and such amount for this property. But that's the request typically comes from the buyer's agent, but we have a lot of title and escrow companies that will do it. Their escrow agents will just do it, and that way there's one less person they have to, deal with for it. And the nice thing about it too is, because everybody in there is verified, there's a lot of trust that goes in there because the buyer knows the agent who's requesting them, and the agent knows the company they're sending it to. And all of those are present in there. So it's very transparent in that respect. And then if you need to include other people on receipts, which is one of our really nice features for the agents, particularly, like if you're a buyer's agent, you want to make sure the listing agent knows that this stuff is paid, they get that receipt automatically when it's paid. So anybody who needs to be involved in it can be involved in it. The lender can be involved in it, in terms of visibility.
Good stuff. Obviously it's convenient, right? No trips to the bank to initiate wires. What about security? Tell us about why Earnnest might be, I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but more secure is maybe what you guys might tout, or what?
I would say definitely more secure. So the two more common methods you have of paying Earnnest money at this point are through either check or wire. The difficulty with the check is if you look at a check, it's got all of your personal information printed on there. And you really don't necessarily want that falling into the wrong hands. And beyond that, you're taking the check, and at least in some offices, you have to go get that photocopied and send it off to everybody and their mom. And that just increases every time that check is passed, or that copy of the check is passed. That increases the likelihood that someone's going to go in there, fish the thing out, and then have access to all they would need to steal, either money from your accounts, or if they wanted to go big, they could say our identity. In the case of wire, you have no context provided when a wire transfer comes in, and there's also no real way of verifying the sending account or the receiving account. You're just going on the instructions and hoping that everything works out. And there's a lot of ways to commit fraud with wire. And I mean, it's when you look at the FBI's list of frauds that they investigate, I mean, wire fraud is, I think it's number 3 on their list. So it's pretty darn common, and it represents, billions and billions of dollars of lost cash every year. So for us, the security comes in place because it's a closed network. So you don't have just random people floating in there and getting it. There's invitations involved with this thing. So the escrow holder or the buyer's agent is addressing one person. That one person is sending money to a known final location as well. And then the encryption portion is also huge. So we actually at Earnnest don't have any of the information. You mentioned that before reading it off our page. We take everything as a token. So everything is effectively just garbage. If they hacked into our system, worst they could possibly get would be essentially the same stuff that's on your LinkedIn profile or your Facebook profile. First name, last name, phone number, email.
And do you find that people are using Earnnest more and more? First of all, are you guys operating in all 50 states?
So at this point, we're operating in all but, I believe, Hawaii and California. Hawaii is just because we haven't had anybody sign up over there. But California, we are working on getting that, I believe, in the next few weeks, actually.
Okay, so Washington, Oregon, Idaho, all good to go there. Are you seeing that people are using it more in one part of the country than the other, just because how it rolled out, or is it starting to?
Yeah, so there have been two areas that I've noticed recently, particularly that have picked up a lot. One is kind of the West, not the West Coast, but moving into the West. You talk about Colorado and Utah, particularly, and then Arizona to a lesser extent. All 3 of those states have picked up a lot of escrow accounts recently, and we're seeing a lot more transaction volume there. The East Coast, just by virtue of population density, we have a lot of people that hear about it, and then their buddy hears about it, and their buddy hears about it, and so you get more and more and more traction that way. And we started on the East Coast, so that was just proximity.
How about timing? Is there any timing stuff? So we have sensitivity with timing with earnest money deposits. Mm-hmm. Touch on that for a second for me.
Sure. So the typical time frame gives you like between 2 and 3 days to make a deposit or to make the payment rather with Earnnest money. And normally that would involve somebody, again, running the check or running the wire. If you do a check, then you walk into the office, you pass somebody the check, they hand you a receipt, and that's considered paid at that point. So for our process, the same sort of thing happens, except for instead of walking physically into the office and passing the check off, the buyer hits pay, and then they get the receipt. So that's the same sort of thing that happens there. There's the same, good faith assurance that you're going to be paying the money. And then after that, it's all an ACH transfer the same way as a check is.
So yeah, let me break it down a little bit further, right? So Earnnest is not an escrow company.
No,
correct?
We do not hold the funds at any point. So yeah, we're not a bank. We're not an escrow company ourselves. We're a way of moving money.
Hey guys, it's Julie here with a quick break from the show to discuss an opportunity some of you may have interest in, which is to work more closely with me. On almost a daily basis, I get calls from investors and brokers, both new and experienced, asking me for guidance or advice. I love helping you guys out, and it keeps me on my toes too. So with that said, I wanted to let you know that I have a private broker coaching community called the VIP Education Community. And the best part is that it's 100% free. That's right, it's free to join. So Whether you're a traditional broker or a broker investor, my VIP education community offers personalized one-on-one coaching from not just me, but also from my experienced broker friends with expertise in all disciplines of real estate and real estate investing. We'll teach and share our modern marketing strategies, our tech and lead generation resources, plus teach you how to identify or offer up opportunities for yourself or for your clients using techniques such as seller financing, lease options, land entitlement deals, BRRRR investing, flipping, multifamily or commercial coaching, whatever you like. We've got it all covered for you. The future of real estate is changing fast, and to stay in the game, it's time to learn about all the options you can offer your buyer and seller clients, as well as, if you want, learn how to use those skills to grow your own real estate portfolio. If you'd like more details about joining my VIP education community, reach out to me at julie@seattleinvestorsclub.com or text me at 206-910-2985 or just send me a Facebook message. My new favorite phrase is community equals confidence. So let's navigate the future of real estate together. Now, back to the show.
And right, so there isn't any type of, so that we're basically passing it through you to get to the escrow company, which must be signed up and vetted through you guys as well. And there's that, again, that happens instantaneously. When is the escrow company seeing it on their end?
Processing time for this, like I say, payment is instant. As soon as they hit that button, they get the receipt, and that's all set. The actual deposit into the escrow account typically
takes. They get
takes.
the receipt from Earnnest, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
I mean, probably that doesn't count as a receipt from the Earnnest money escrow holder. I'm getting technical on you.
Right. And actually, that's one of the major concerns that our founder, George, who was the real estate agent, that's one of the things that he had in mind when he was looking at this and saying, hey, can we actually do this? Is it going to be compliant? And what we can say is that it's been found compliant in every state that's examined it because it operates in the same sense as a check. So the receipt is something that we send on there, but it's in the name of whatever person who's actually put the payment down there. So that person's passed in the check. We are just the means by which that happens. We send the receipt out to the escrow company. We send the receipt out to the buyer, send the receipt out to the buyer's agent.
Cool. Awesome. I'll have to, who knows? Are you guys working with brokerage firms? Like, are you, making some sort of alliances or strategic business stuff, or what is that? How does that look like, or what's that all about?
Sure. So more macro level here.
Yeah.
So larger partnerships we've been working on. We did mention, I think I mentioned Lone Wolf earlier. So Zip Forms we're already integrated with as a partner there. I know we've got a lot of different like Keller Williams and Remax offices. We've got some Century 21 offices. In terms of title companies, Land Title in Colorado, Canyon Title in Colorado, Arizona Premier. There are tons of brokerages that have been using us, and then a lot of the larger regional title and escrow companies have been signing up with us as well.
And what's the cost on using Earnnest? What's the difference? What's the cost? And then how does that compare to whatever we've been doing up till now?
Sure. So we charge a $15 transfer fee that is on the buyer. So neither the real estate agent or the requester or the escrow company has any sort of fee. There's no setup fee as well for our out-of-the-box product. So if they want to sign up, they can literally go. Escrow companies can do it in about 10 minutes. And if you want to sign up to be a requester or a buyer's agent, if you will, you can do that in about a minute and a half. But yeah, it's $15 flat. That's it.
Nice.
As compared,
Wow.
You said as compared to the other stuff. You talk about wires, you're looking probably at about $30 at a lower end one, and we've seen them go up to $50-$60. And then if you go for a cashier's check, that may or may not be a cheaper option. At that point, we're just competing based on convenience, and we are certainly way more convenient because you don't have to get out of bed for it.
Exactly. And are there there's no dollar limits on any of this? Any transfer limits or anything?
So we do have a transfer limit now, although that's working on getting pushed up. It's $25,000 per transfer is the max now, although I think we're working to get that to 100 within the next few weeks.
Okay. Yeah, out here in the Seattle area, that can be, a common type of number, but definitely can be a lot higher than that, right?
Right.
for
Yeah, I
earnest
would say
money?
for particularly like the large metro areas, we've noticed in like Virginia and Maryland, we've seen some insane numbers coming out of Virginia and Maryland. You look at somebody putting down like 56 grand for a house, or 60 something grand for a house, and you're like, okay, well, that's the down. All right.
So let me ask you, what if somebody was going to pay all cash for a house? I guess that's another consideration, right? I mean, another step in your ladder there are all cash buyers out there that need to transfer their funds into escrow, right? Where they're not even using a loan. So it'd be much larger than a much larger than a escrow or earnest money deposit. You guys probably aren't there yet on that sort of thing, but that does lead us down the path of where you guys headed and what else? Because when I first said this, I'm like, oh, so it's kind of like Venmo, and you're like, well, Venmo, but real estate compliant.
Yeah.
And so tell me about your thoughts there.
So in terms of the breadth of things we're able to cover right now, again, our documentation is sort of focused on earnest money, and that's the main process we've focused on. But we're trying to make it a lot more agnostic, where you can have, for example, cash to close is something we're working on this year, and it should be, I think, coming in the last quarter of the year, or doing refunds for earnest money, or doing commission payments to real estate agents. So particularly for the real estate agents, they seem to like that one a lot.
Interesting. Right.
And then, we want to make it where it's more of a tool for everybody, not just a tool for real estate in the future. So in theory, you could use it you could use it to buy cat and dog food if you wanted to. If you had a receiving account set up and a buyer who wanted to send money to it, right now the receipt would say earnest money, but they could send that money and there's no mechanical restriction in terms of using us for other things.
How about rentals?
We've got a lot of people that use us for rentals already, particularly in the Southeast. Mm-hmm.
Are they, so yes, on like first month's deposit or all the deposit stuff, but are they using it monthly for rental payments?
No, typically not monthly for rental payments, but for security deposits particularly, a lot of use there. Heck, last week we had a guy who was asking about doing it for his monthly deposits on there. And I think we would be a solution for it. I think just by virtue of the transfer fee, frankly, that probably wouldn't be the best option for them, because at the end of the day, they're going to want to do something that's not going to cost them every time. But we're also open to changing the structure for guys that we're doing more regular business or different kinds of transfers.
Right. I love the idea of the commissions to real estate agents also. That's an interesting plug-in there.
Makes sense as a real estate agent, yeah.
Yeah, I might run this up the flagpole myself where I'm hanging out. Cool. Yeah, interesting. I mean, it seems natural that things would be going this way. I mean, it's not, like I said, it's just, this is like, I do a lot of studying and reading, and I'm following up on current trends, and, the whole online direct home buying, I believe is a trend of the future. Already happening, with places like Open Door, who's a brokerage firm, and, listing their own transactions. And then you get Zillow and, everyone wanting to take the entire beyond just the buy sell, but the title escrow lending down a line through their same, group there, right? Where you're not necessarily, leaving to engage other parties. It's just kind of a straight line transaction is definitely, for anybody that's paying attention, probably where the future of real estate is headed, at least in some part. So it makes sense that something like Earnnest would pop up and plug in. It's been around. You can't believe it took me this long to realize that you guys were out there. If you guys are listening out there and you'd already heard of Earnnest, let me know. Drop me a line or a note down there. I'm curious to hear if you guys, I think I'm smart. So I'm like, oh no, I found these guys. But obviously I'm sure some of my West Coast friends, maybe they've heard of something. And like I said, I don't know if I heard about it on Inman or through all the stuff that I read and study every morning. Somehow I was like, dang, these guys, this is something I need to know about. So we do appreciate you coming on with us today. Where do you think it goes from here for you guys? Any thoughts on, we're saying, like, obviously, I'm all interested in just the future of real estate. And I know you're going to stretch your arms beyond real estate, probably. But yeah, what do you have to say? I'm here curious.
Well, I think that the immediate future is definitely one where we're looking at real estate because we want to make sure we perfect our product as it is and then make sure we cover every possible interaction around real estate transactions. Just because at the end of the day, the easier, like the more integrations we have, the easier and the more, call it singular, that process is going to be. And you were talking about making it a straight line kind of interaction between buying a home. And right now it's largely just sort of a pain in the rear because you have to deal with so many parties and so many different physical locations to go to. I think that as we grow, we're going to be making that a lot easier to get through every part of this. Because like I said, if you can do cash to close through us and you've already paid the earnest money through us, then all right, well, that's, one less thing you got to worry about. You're already set up to do it again. If you want to talk about getting your agents paid their commission, if they already set the request up, you already know they're in the system. Now they just need to get set up where they can receive the payment again. Okay, that's fine. And as long as everybody's built into it, you've got kind of a shall we say, organic community around it where it makes sense to have it integrated that way. So that's the immediate focus. But later on, it'll be, moving on to other things. It's just right now, real estate is definitely where we're focused and what we're hoping to benefit the most, honestly.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? Kind of an easy plug-in. I wonder eventually if, international money internationally. I'm at eXp Realty, which I'm proud to say is an international brokerage firm.
Yeah.
We have offices in Canada and the UK and Australia and just booming actually internationally as well. So I can imagine, that this could be something that'd be very helpful there. Plus, actually our own firm doing referrals between agents and stuff like that too. I don't know. My mind is now racing with all the possibilities. That's for sure.
Yeah. I was going to say, one of the nice things right now is, for American, call them expats, guys that are still maintaining citizenship here. That's one of the things we've seen as a huge benefit because if they still have a U.S. phone number right now, we can get them hooked up and get them paid, no problem. I've been pushing really hard to see if there's a way we can get more just foreign buyers, particularly, access to it. I was actually telling Joe before we got on, I used to live in Hungary. Before that, I was living in the Czech Republic. I spent some months living in Africa. I love the international scene, and I could really want to see more, just more movement, call it, and more access for people that want to go to and from anywhere. It's just one thing right now we're still definitely working on, but I'm pushing hard for it.
Well, I would love to connect with you guys on that because I am also working on some stuff in that regard. As far as international real estate transactions go. And again, like I said, I'm at eXp Realty, which is poised for facilitating that type of thing tremendously as well. So we'll need to connect up after this and maybe have yourself and maybe Daniel or George, maybe we can hop on a call and talk a little bit more and brainstorm about that, how that might be able to plug in. But I digress. We're getting sidetracked here. So well, God, now I can't wait to get going with this. Is there, maybe I'm going to, I don't know. Do I need to check it with my brokerage firm? Do they need to approve this or?
If you wanted to issue requests, you don't actually have to involve them. I don't know how your brokerage works in terms of holding escrow money, but if you've got somebody you want to, for example, you got your local attorney or you got your local escrow office, you can sign up as an agent in a couple seconds. You don't have to ask anybody for any permission. You just do it. You go onto earnest.com, you click on agent, click on, I think it's enroll, and a minute and a half, 2 minutes, you're done with that.
Well, I think what I'm going to do is contact, I use for a lot of my transactions when I don't have people that are computer challenged, I guess I'll say, I use endpoint closing, as I mentioned to you, which has been a little bit of the belle of the ball around here and winning some awards here for their platform for digital title and escrow. And so it makes sense to connect you guys. Maybe I can jump on the phone with my contact there and I'm going to tell them that I want to see if I can use you guys and see if we can get one done. I'll be the example.
The guinea pig.
Yeah. And I'll run it, just make sure I run it by my broker to see if there's any issue there, just because they are very tech friendly as well. So, match made in heaven today, guys. What do you know? Yeah. This is all good stuff. Well, is there anything else that we need to know about Earnnest. I know if you guys are looking, who are listening, to learn more about it, you can go to Earnnest. That's EARNNEST.com, or you can download the app. I think I see it here as, app.earnest.com. If you want to grab that and download that onto your phone and check it out. But very exciting to have this.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to add today? Or?
Well, I'd say a couple things that are coming down the pipeline that will be pretty darn cool. I know we do have a native app that's going to be coming in the next few. I think that's actually early this coming quarter. So that's going to be and kind of all-in-one experience. Talking about that down the line issue again. That should be the same sort of experience for both buyers and for agents, and then hopefully for
and
escrow
what's that
holders.
one? What was that for?
That's going to be the native app for Earnnest. So instead of it being a web-based app, we're going to have an actual app that shows up in like app stores.
Okay, so you're talking techie guy stuff at me, right?
Yes, techie guy stuff there.
That's why I had no clue what the hell you were talking about. I'm like,
I'm glad I clarified.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. All right. Yes, guys, I admit it. I'm a dork. But what else? Okay, that sounds good. Good to know.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think of other stuff that would be. Yeah, it'll be. Oh, by the way, June. I just got my card on that one. It is definitely June showing up there. Man. Well, otherwise, I'd just be talking back on features again. Exciting thing for escrow guys. There's no pullbacks on that, so that usually makes them pretty happy.
What does that mean?
So normal ACH transfers, you have the option to pull back money that you've paid to someone, but actually through our process, we eliminate that option to pull back. So there is both a mechanical and a legal aspect to that. They surrender the rights to do so, and then they actually cannot withdraw the funds once they've paid that money. So that's nice benefit of using our service as opposed to some of our competitors that are out there. And then again, you don't have to use any checks, so that's always nice, particularly when you talk about millennials not really having them. I think it's upwards of 30% of them don't have any checks at all. I can say for my case, I fit into that category. I, in theory, have a checkbook. I have absolutely no idea where it is.
Joe is laughing right now. Joe is probably cracking up because, he is of that generation, and I'm learning to be split between the two. So it is funny that I am the one that found Earnnest between the two of us, because I would probably be the last person to know about this stuff. But I got to tell you what, Joe, wouldn't you say I'm catching up? Would you say I'm catching up on all this?
I would say that you're doing a great job. I've been impressed. I'm taking notes from you the last few weeks, so that's awesome.
I got it. I got to tell you what, I've been excited about some of these Facebook things I've been learning lately. That's what Joe's talking about. And when I told my kids, who are 11-year-old, almost 12-year-old twin girls, they looked at me like, and you know what they said? They said, Facebook's for old people.
Oh my word.
And I said, holy crap. I think they might be right. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, well, what are they on? That's a whole nother discussion for another day. But it actually stopped me in my tracks for a second when they said that. And I thought to myself, boy, am I glad I have 11-year-old and 12-year-old girls to keep me, on point, right? With what's going on today. I thought I was doing good until I heard that. But, thank you. Awesome. This is good stuff today. Looking forward to spreading the word for you guys, and we'll see if we get some people using it out here, and then we'll invite you back on. Feel free to reach out to us too. You have all our contact information now, and whenever you guys have some cool news or information, or hit us back up, and we will be, as long as we have a good experience using your service, we will. You can use us as a resource to spread the word. We love being partners with people like that. So,
yeah, I'm always glad to reach out. I appreciate you guys having me on again. And for those that are apparently old and still use social media, we do have social media handles out there. You can find us on Facebook, just Earnnest, EARNNEST. I think we've got Insta, Twitter as well. So, any one of those.
Right on. Good stuff. We will look for you on all your socials. And anything else we want to add today? Joe, where can everybody find us? Speaking of the socials and what we need them to hang out with us on.
Yeah, so you can find the show notes and all the links that we've mentioned today at seattleinvestorsclub.com/120. That's seattleinvestorsclub.com/120. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this podcast, head over to any of your podcast listening sources and give us a review. We would love that. It helps us to get our message out to more people and share more cool things like we have today.
Exactly. And if you like our podcast, one other thing you could do is share it on your own social. That helps us out, because what we've noticed is we're actually getting quite popular, and we're getting some really awesome guests and people reaching out to us. And as always, if there's anything you guys want to hear about, just let us know. Reach out to us and just tell us whatever topic or anything you want to know a deep dive on, and we will get that going. And so, Durell, actually, let me invite you to something, my new friend. Every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. here Pacific time, we have an online meetup, Zoom. You can go to meetup.com and jump on the Seattle Investors Club page there. And every Thursday morning, you can grab our Zoom link and join us. We have an 11:30 to 12:30 online kind of mastermind meetup for brokers and investors and lenders and pretty much any real estate professional that touches it. Wholesalers, hard money lenders, everybody jumps on there with us. It's a great platform. I'd be happy to introduce you on that if you want to jump on with us, and people would love to hear from you, Durell. That would be so cool.
I appreciate it. Is Thursday you're talking about, like tomorrow, Thursday?
Yeah. Yes, I am. I'm talking every single Thursday, and that's a Pacific time, of course, 11:30 to 12:30. So jump on if you want. I'll see you if you jump on there, or give me a heads up that you want to do that, and I'll be sure to introduce you. And everybody can join in on their video, and we just unmic ourselves and we talk about whatever the current topics are for the week. We share a lot of resources. This could be one of them with each other. We keep each other informed of what's going on in the market, wherever you're touching. And been a lot of talk, of course, about rental collections and forbearance and status of borrowing these days. And pretty much anything goes, just an open discussion for an hour. So I'd love to have you join us.
I appreciate that.
And anybody who's listening, we would also like you to join us. You can be anywhere across the country, because the stuff we're talking about actually applies most of the time everywhere. And plus that, if you're not in the Pacific Northwest and you're somewhere across the country, we absolutely want to hear what's going on in your market anyways, because a lot of times you guys might be leading indicators of different markets that are ahead of us, where changes and shifts happening related to, what's going on with this virus, and what's going on with businesses and opening up, and whatever curves you guys are on. We just all need to band together. So we jump on with us if you're listening, even if you're off in, wherever, the middle of the country or southeast or northeast or off in South Carolina where Durell is. So all sounds great. That's all I got for today, guys, because I'm actually happy and busy with my own real estate business and need to get back to it here. So thank you for joining us once again. And that's all I got for today. And see you guys next time. All right. Over and out from here in Seattle.
Thanks again for having me. Appreciate it, Julie.
You got it.
Thanks for listening to the Seattle Investors Club podcast. If you have questions that you'd like to have answered on the show, shoot us an email at info@seattleinvestorsclub.com. Now go out, take that action, and build that real estate business. Thanks for listening.